Hey there, it's Dave from Telescribe and Nothing Gain, and of course we have Kirk Houghton from Screen Blast B and Annie Edwards from Nomadic Rain, and you're watching the ADK Rock and Metal channel. Okay, today we're going to be talking about our recent ADK Present show at the 6-6 bar, where we had headliners Delfinia, War-Torn Wings, Rio, and Buried on Sunday. Big thank you to all the bands that played, and also a big thank you from me for the fact that I saw great social media posts from all bands promoting the show. And it was really tough, but yeah, we had a good balanced crowd, so every band had fans that came down for each band rather than it just being one band with loads of people. So great to see. But yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about each band, and we're going to go straight to a performance from the night. So kicking us off on the night was probably the band that's played the most ADK Present shows. Although Telescribe is going to overtake it by the end of this year. But that was, of course, Buried on Sunday. Andy, thoughts on the band's performance?
They've done their very own hour-long headline set, and they've opened this one, haven't they? And maybe other slots in between. I can't remember, but yeah, I really like Buried on Sunday. It's not my usual style and genre of metal and rock, as you may realise, but I always enjoy them. They're very professional, and Kirk will come on this as well. But we discovered that they're the sort of band that can adjust to any given sort of situation, and what I mean by that is they probably the last time I saw them, I can't remember the venue, that a new guy on guitar, and then the time I saw him after that, he switched to bass. They recently lost their long-term bass player, and this time around they had somebody I've never seen before playing guitar, and Sam, their previous bass player, back filling in, and prior to that they brought in their other original guitarist that I remember seeing, the tall Asian lad. He left the band, then he filled in a couple of shows after he left, so they've got this sort of camaraderie and the friendship within the band and the band circles, and they can always sort of call upon someone to help them out. But I've seen them play as a 5 and as a 4, and they always put on a really good show. Sound was excellent. I don't know if they opened it, but the first video that I sort of kept and would look forward to was the track from their album called Haunted Like Houses. That was excellent. They followed that up with mine and Kirk's sort of favourite sort of British punk style track. I think it's called Sink or Swim.
Yeah.
Judging by the sort of chorus and the final line, we enjoy that one. They mix up the styles. That's sort of more sort of punky. Haunted Like Houses is quite metal, and they've done a Linkin Park cover that I've never heard before. They didn't introduce it as a Linkin Park cover, but because of the sort of dual vocals and the rapping, I kind of guess it probably was, and it was. It's called A Place in My Head, one I've never heard before. That was really good as well. But yeah, absolutely love Buried on Sunday. Great performance. Rob is all you could ask for from a front man. He's got a great range of vocals. He's got a great interaction, great delivery style. He's got great interaction with the crowd. And I think you said, Dave, on the night, sometimes as a front man or a front woman, you can try and engage the crowd. And depend on the audience and where you are, that can fall completely flat. But he never lets it rattle him. He always sort of recovers from that and builds on that and makes a joke of it. If the crowd do what he's asked, I can't give you an example of what he asked them to do. If they sort of respond and interact, then all well and good. But if they don't, he doesn't let that fluster him and sort of put him off his performance. But yeah, really good band. Look, watch them any day of the week.
So I was going to say half of that stuff. So you've already you've just taken all my talking.
That makes a change. Usually I'm the one to try and give something.
So now, do you know what? For the next band, from Rio, I'll take all your talking points. Then I'll do it that way round.
Please do.
My only disagreement here is that Linkin Park cover they've done many times.
Okay.
So when they did their big headline show a couple of years ago at Club 85, they did that as an encore. And they did it at their Nottingham show, etc. Now, my pushback to this band is covers can be really good, but when you've got great material, and they've got a full album of great material, so they don't need to throw a cover in. I know it's almost a little bit self-indulgent for the band to do it because they don't need to. Their original material is really good, and I would have much rather have heard another original song than a cover. As a fan of the band, that's what I would want to see rather than that. And I can kind of understand it. I know, like they did recently at their Club 85 show, they did a cover of Paranoid, and that was obviously because of the recent passing of Ozzy Osbourne. That makes sense for that moment. So I'm gonna push back to the band and say, yeah, you can do it if you really have to. And this is me saying it as a band in Telescribe who does Mr. Crowley live, but yeah, we won't always do that live. But I just kind of, what's the reasoning behind that when you've got so many good songs on that album? But Kirk, your thoughts on the band?
Yeah, I'll pick up on that. There is probably only one other band in the scene that is that luxury of having such a great catalogue of songs to choose from. And that is Before the Sirens, isn't it? Them and Buried on Sunday. They've just got a wealth of material. In the past, they've covered Tool sober as well. So we've had Paranoid by Black Sabbath, the Linkin Park track. We had a Taylor Swift song.
They've done an Audio Slave before as well.
Yeah, they've done Audio Slave. So very interesting. I think that tells you a lot about the band. And guess which artist I'm going to mention? Faith No More. But I will justify this. So people used to say about Faith No More that they kind of like take music as an assignment. So you could have an album. If someone said, go and play a thrash song, they'll do it and make sure it's the best thrash song ever. You know, they'll learn everything. So grindcore, jazz, pop, whatever they want to do. And Buried on Sunday like that. And when you listen to this set, track number 2, Sink or Swim, I mean, that could be on the same set as that early 2000s band, The Ordinary Boys. You know, it is that like cheeky eye British punk with really amusing lyrics in there as well.
We thought that was a cover, didn't we, Kirk?
We thought it was a cover, exactly, and it's not. And then when you look at track number 1, which Andy and I love, Black Streets, the title track from their album, really heavy song. There's also a great anthem in there called 1995, which again is very heavy.
Yeah.
So that, but did they finish with that one?
I think it was near the end, wasn't it? Great song on the album. And I'm going to reiterate what Andy said. You can put these to so many different crowds and they'd please every one of them. You know, if they were playing more to like a punk gig, for example, they could still play. They'd probably tone down some of the metal songs. When they're playing at a metal show, they can play the heavy ones. They've got breakdowns, you know, crushing riffs, fantastic vocals from Rob. He can switch. You know, the good cop, bad cop, he's really good at that. He's got a very strong rock voice as well. Husky, a lot of blues in there as well, but a lot of pain, you know, when you listen to 1995. So, fantastic set. They've been gigging so much recently. They played with Telescribe, didn't they, in Northampton? I don't know if it was a joke or not, but Toby, or was it Rob, said, how you doing, Northampton? I think that was probably a slip of the tongue, which was really amusing. And then, of course, they opened for Lowdown for their album release show. So, great to see them getting so many gigs. These could just turn up at the last minute and they could have 4 set lists ready and just decide which one they're going to use, depending on the audience. How many other bands can actually do that? Really impressive.
Okay, well, let's check out some Buried on Sunday live at the 66 Bar. Okay, so next one up, we had Rio, which are, I think they're London-based band at the moment. So this was a band that I was really looking forward to checking out, because they're a very different band style for anything else we've had on any of our other ADK Presents events. But I want to know what you thought of this band.
Yeah, I was looking into the background of it. So they're currently based in Northampton. It was originally a solo project of the singer, this Japanese woman, Rio Suyama, who's now relocated to England, which is great to see. And I think she started off more of like dream pop type music, and then it's now become a fusion of that element, like Churches, even The Cure, with industrial metal. There was a really good song in the set, which I've gone and listened to after hearing it, called Ronin, which came out last year.
Yeah.
Very heavy. I thought they captured it really well in the set, but that's because of the fantastic work from our sound guy, who does these shows at Cambridge 66 Bar. And I liked how they actually did use, the backing tracks, and you had a few artifacts and moments in there that would be like a glitch in between certain sections of the songs. I think it's very easy to fall in love with this music just based on the passion of the vocalist. I thought she was absolutely superb, and she clearly moved as well, War Torn Wings, because they even made a point of complimenting them, saying, wow, that takes passion to a new level. And I think the only problem with this band, because I think he's called James Wright, the co-songwriter of the lyrics, and Rio Suyama, because they're in English and Japanese, the moments when you want them to be anthemic, I found, seem to be in the Japanese language, and they needed to be in English if you want a fist-pumping anthemic chorus, because they had the dynamics to do that. I just didn't hear any memorable choruses in their set, but I really like how ambitious they were and willing to experiment, especially with electronics and with metal, and did a great job of that. And again, I'll just say, just watch this band, the self-belief, the passion. Sometimes if you've got the will to do something, go and do it. I mean, this woman's moved over from Japan, for God's sake, to follow a dream. And that really comes across in the set. So absolutely fantastic live set. Just need to listen to a bit more of their music to understand why they're not quite hitting the chorus peaks that they should be doing. But plenty of potential here. And of course, they've got a niche. One last thing, do not call this music Japancore. That is such a lazy term. I know if you're claiming it's a fusion,
it's alternative.
Yeah, metal and dark pop, please don't call it Japancore. And that's coming from England's #1 Japanophile. You don't need to call your music that. Nothing wrong with promoting it as having a Japanese aesthetic and obviously a Japanese singer who is the heart of the band. And clearly that's where the name comes from. So great set. I'd definitely go and watch these again.
Yeah, I mean, there's only a couple of things I'll add to that then. So just the energy of the vocalist really stood out. I mean, there's obviously thought processes that's been put into her performance. It's not a case of, I think there's a lot of the moves that she was doing were rehearsed. She's thought about them in rehearsal studio. She's thought how she's going to do her movements at certain points in the song, which I really love. But she made them feel like they were impulsive at the same time. That's what I like about it.
Impulsive, yeah.
Yeah, impulsive. Like it looks like when you're watching it, you're going, she's just vibing in the moment, but then you're thinking about it, going, well, no, she's not. She's thought about it. She's probably done this so many times at those points in the gig. I could be nitpicky and go, oh, there are points where she kind of struggled on certain notes on songs. And the only reason I'm going to say that is because when we play any of the clips that we play, you'll be able to hear that. Yeah. But she's doing a live performance. But if I didn't say that, people would be like, "Oh, you're being biased and you haven't mentioned it." So I'll mention it. Yeah,
it's still a work in progress.
But there is every single. I don't think there's a single band that I've ever seen play live that doesn't have some sort of pitchiness. They don't go a little bit flat at some point. It's just unfortunately with vocals. And I've disappeared. I'll be back. I'm back. Don't worry. I'll be back.
Voice. Guess who's back?
Back again. My camera's gone. It's me with technical difficulties today. Right. Let's see if I'm back.
Yes.
Yay!
Right. Yeah, it's still a work in progress, which, they're a relatively new band anyway, aren't they?
They are. The difference being is if Andy was to fuck up playing something on Nomadic Rain and hit a slight bum note on the chord, if I was to hit a wrong hit on the snare slightly, you wouldn't notice it unless you're really key. But as a vocalist, when a vocal hits something slightly off on key, you know it, and that's the problem for a vocalist.
Nowhere to hide, is there?
The other thing I really want to say about the band is getting there early. I always get there at 5 o'clock. Fucking cameras.
Last week it was Andy who had the technical problems.
Yeah, fuck knows what's going on today. At least I know how to fix my camera. That's the good bit. Yeah, I get there really early to meet all the bands, and there are sometimes we'll have bands that can be bad at getting in on time, people not turning up for their sound checks, not very helpful, members of bands disappearing off, I can't find them, not helping other bands. These guys were really accommodating. They turned up, checked in with me, had a great chat. We were just chatting away about stuff. We really like, what do you need from us? How can we help? How can we get this stuff round? Really good with promotion. About whenever I tagged something, they were then forwarding it on. We were great about doing lots of little live videos from the studio, stuff like that. So really appreciate the professionalism of a band who go out the way to make sure a gig runs smoothly. I suppose I should just ask, any thoughts from you, or have we covered everything, Andy?
I'd just like to add, I think the look of the band was really good, particularly the vocalist and the guitar player. You got to got to put your individual stamp on yourself as a performer. Many bands like ourselves, for example, we haven't got a style, we haven't got a look, and we're not recognisable. But you could talk about this band and you'll identify them just by the look of the various members. And just to sort of add additional point from me, there's one song mid-set which I really like, which kind of had like a sort of clean sort of what's the word I'm looking for? Sort of smooth intro, which sort of then really kicked in. That was my highlight for me. But yeah, she had a great voice. You could hear the mix of the different languages. I think you're right, Kirk. If they're looking for the sort of memorable choruses, perhaps that needs to be more focused on the English. But interesting band, and yeah, one to, like I say, you can easily identify them and you'll remember them if you were at the show, definitely.
Okay, well, let's check out some Rio live from the 6-6 bar. Okay, so our main support of the evening comes from War-Torn Wings. I'm going to let Andy kick this one off then. So talk about War-Torn Wings' performance.
Yeah, again, a band that you've disappeared again, Dave.
Don't worry about me.
Okay, I won't worry about you. Yeah, another band that I really, really like. They don't perform enough. That's because of the sort of geographical nature of the members. But I'd see them any day of the week. Again, really like their material. Hopefully more to come. They had a 3-track EP out a couple of years ago, which was fantastic, and a single called "Slave to the Screen," which was the penultimate track. But yeah, like all the bands, the sound was excellent, and especially so for War-Torn Wings. Straight off the blocks with a real heavy, fast track, which is "Sin Beneath Your Skin." Jen Ryan, the vocalist, was absolutely throwing herself into the intro of the song before she started singing. Really good pacey track to kick things off. For Your Tomorrow is another one for that EP, which I really like. A newer one, which I've always thought was called Eyes Wide Open, but according to the setlist it's called Powers That Be. I think that's the next single and video they'll be releasing. But yeah, excellent performance. One thing of note for me, the sort of recent introduction of second guitarist James White, who is known for being in 13, which is Charles's brother's band. He really adds to the tracks, particularly the ones that whereby he's adding a little bit of the sort of lead flourish on the sort of between verse sections. You know, it's on a couple of the, you know, the older tracks, but yeah, really, really good set. Great sound, great performance. Thoroughly enjoyed it. You know, can't wait to see him again, and you know, more material to be released.
How about you, Kirk?
This is an interesting set for me because the bassist, Sub, or Poe, as some people know him, told me to watch out for the new drummer. He was really talking about saying, look, we've got this amazing drummer, and he didn't disappoint. So it was good. I did a lot of attention on that, and he made it look effortless, but yeah, real good pocket grooves. You know, I mean, he must have been adding in some extra rudiments, some extra fills, but yeah, he was quite charismatic alone. But let's get to the songwriting. That song, Slaves to the Screen, is as good as Bleed For Me by Scarlet Envy, which I often say is, in the scene here, probably the best chorus from any band. And that is very close to it. Absolute genius, the way it uses this, like, goes down the chromatics and then back up. So it goes, what have we become? And then she goes the other way. Fantastic. You hardly hear any band write a chorus like that. Really heavy as well. I agree, the addition of 13 six-stringer James White adds a lot, doesn't it, to the band as well. And I didn't realise, but Paul's playing some really interesting stuff on bass there. There's even some slap bass in there, which I just haven't paid attention to in the past. And again, that's credit to the sound guy. Superb. You know, you really can hear all the instruments very clearly. It's like listening to a record, which is very difficult to capture, and certainly was, you know, even 10 years ago. The technology we know is there now, but lots of energy, good songwriters like Before the Sirens, like Buried on Sunday, like Scarlet Envy and Teller's Scribe, very much fit into that. You know, it's very important you have these chorus rituals, you have these heavy riffs, but you have groove to it as well. So Dave, at this point I need to hand it to you, because surely this is your type of band, isn't it? War Torn Wings.
Thanks for putting me in the spot.
How long's this silence going to be?
Shit. No,
It's usually me Kirk throws under the bus with an intro like that.
It's like, fuck.
He was stroking his beard.
I'm just stroking my beard.
Is War Torn Wings your type of band? I mean, I love them, but surely you would like them. They've got all the ingredients.
War Torn Wings is a band that I'd be very comfortable with. That's probably the way. The weird thing is the stuff that I listen to is not the stuff that I play. But I understand the comparison for things like Scarlet and Tellers and stuff like that. It's very much groove orientated with nice lead melodies and stuff like that. So it fits and it's very comfortable. The thing that stood out for me about the show was actually on Slave to the Screen. I like the fact that the new drummers changed the drum pattern.
Ah, so that's what he's done. Right, okay.
So when it first kicks in, you know how it first kicks in and then you go into the verse? Now with Alan previously, he kept it in the same tempo. So it was all like when she sang, and now this guy's like doing a punk beat. So he's gone up, he's doubled the tempo up on that section. So when he first did it, my ears just were like, huh? It's like, okay, yeah, all right. I wasn't expecting that, but yeah, okay, that works. And I like that about going in as a drummer. He's gone in and he's been allowed to kind of go, okay, but what if I try this? He hasn't had to go, I've got to be loyal to the original parts. I mean, it's different if you're going in, you're like, well, you're asked to replace Lars in Metallica. You can't go off and start changing Metallica's drums patterns on certain. Like, I'm going to play Battery, but I'm going to do it in a half-time tempo. You can't do that.
Yeah.
So, but in the level that we're talking about these bands, when you get a new drummer in and you're still recording like new material and stuff like that, I think it's great to go in there and put your own stamp on it. So that's what I loved about the drummer. Was he went in and he did his own thing on certain parts. We took what worked really well with Alan's stuff, but then had the ability to go off and go, I've got my own stance on that. So I thought that worked really good. So it'd be really interesting to see how this moves forward as a band. But let's check out War Torn Wings live. Okay, and our final headliner band of the night is a band called Delfinia. Power metal, I guess. Symphonic. Would you class it symphonic power metal? I don't know. Right to Kirk first. Go on, Kirk. You give us some of your thoughts on them.
Again, interesting origin. So they actually originate from the Ukraine. It's the siblings Konsta and Daria Naumenko who formed this band, moved to England, and now I think in Northampton. And then they've now recruited a full
Is everyone
band.
from fucking Northampton or something?
I know, what's going on? No.
Is that why Buried on Sunday we're going, hello,
But I'm going to give the names of some of the other musicians in the band who've since joined, because one of them, the drummer, was sensational in this performance. Carl Sheldrick, he's called. He looked great as well. He looked like a warrior. He had like the most severe undercut I've ever seen.
He was like another band before, because I swear I recognise him from another band. But
well, I mean, he's an unforgettable person, so I don't know. But he was superb on drums, really energetic. And then the guitar player as well, Daniel Rankin. So they deserve mention. But I have to be honest, I was watching the keyboard player because I was listening. How much is she contributing to the mix? A lot.
yes.
The first song, I didn't really notice it, and then you hear her doing all these like orc hits in the chorus. You're like dun 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 dun, and following the guitars, fantastic.
And vocal harmonies.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we get to. And she really doubles up with her brother on the vocal harmonies. He's fantastic, isn't he? Consta. He loves to be on that stage. He loves to be the hero. Because if you're in a power metal band and you're not feeling valiant or chivalrous or heroic, what the fuck are you doing playing that music? So he really is. I'm not even going to say in character because that would be an insult. He's getting into the music and giving you what you want. I imagine he played quite a lot of songs from the 2019 album Deep Elevation. I didn't really know the set list. Spellbinding though, and some of the people next to me in the crowd were just saying what a great live mix. And again, really epic music, unashamedly pompous as well. That's what power metal is. Definitely deserves the headline. If you're playing music like this and you're on first, you're probably looking around thinking we need to be higher on the bill. These are good enough to do that. So I thought these were a really good choice to headline this event.
You pretty much covered all my talking points again, so I'm like, shit.
The harmonising of the vocals, elaborate.
Yeah, I do like the harmonised. They work really hard on those harmonised vocals, and when they really locked together, it really filled that sound out. So yeah, I thought that was really good, and they did a great set. I don't know, Andy, got anything else to add, or should we go to the live shop?
I'll just say, again, another band with a great look. I did like the lady on the keyboard and vocals. Initially, I got there was a sort of Nightwish vibe to the opening song, I thought, as well. But I did like her keyboard and vocal contributions. As with many of these headliners, I had to sort of leave fairly soon after they started. But I just want to say it was really good to see how many people were there, particularly to see this band, which was great. And they had a great sound as well. I mean, it was a really decent crowd all night, and all the bands were well supported, I thought.
Okay, well, let's go check out Delfinia live from the 6-6 bar, and we will see you on the video sometime very soon. Take care.